Welcome to SATV News. This is Nuri Alamin with the headlines. Supreme Court revives caretaker government system. Caretaker government scrapping verdict was flawed, said Attorney General. Caretaker government system is lifeblood of democracy, said Ruhul Kabir Rizvi. Debapriya Bhattacharya urges government and EC to take stronger measures to restore public confidence. Now in details. The Supreme Court today restored and revived the provision of non-party caretaker government system in the Constitution for holding the national elections in the free, fair and credible manner in the country. This morning, a 7-member bench of Apex Court headed by Chief Justice Syed Rifat Ahmed unanimously delivered the judgment after allowing 2 separate appeals and for a review petition filed against 2011 verdict. The non-party caretaker government system, however, will be implemented before the holding the 14 parliamentary polls, as the upcoming election will be held under the current interim government, according to Supreme Court judgment. The appellate division in the short verdict said the court is satisfied that judgment under review is strained by several cited errors apparent on the face on the record. Following the verdict, Attorney General Mohammad Asaduzaman said it has now become clearly evident from the court observation that verdict scrapping the 13th Amendment was flawed. The Attorney General said the latest verdict has revived and automatically reactivated a caretaker government system in the Constitution. However, it will take effect from the 14th national election, he also added. BNP Senior Joint Secretary General Ruhul Kabir Rizvi today said the caretaker government system is the lifeblood of democracy. He also said the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the caretaker government. Sheikh Hasina personally killed this, adding Mr. Rizvi. He made these remarks while speaking as a chief guest at the medical assistance program for families for the martyr and injured during the July uprising, as well as for destitute, helpless and the persecuted families. The verdict today is extremely positive to prevent anyone becoming a new fascist in Bangladesh. Through this verdict, the path to revitalizing democracy has once again become a smooth, and lifeblood of democracy has been rejuvenated. The BNP leader further also added. BNP Standing Committee member Amir Khosrow Mohammad Chaudhary today said that only a caretaker government can ensure a free, fair national election, welcoming the restoration of a system as a positive development. Speaking to reporter after an event at Dhaka University this morning, Khosrow said elections held under caretaker administration in the past were comparatively more acceptable, adding that any limitations in system could be resolved through the reform. The most important thing is that there is a national consensus on the caretaker government. People have confidence in elections conducted under such non-elected administration, he also said. On concern over who should lead the caretaker government, the BNP leader said disagreement could be settled through dialogue. If limitations, characteristics and the structure can all be finalized through discussions, he also added. Bangladesh Jamaat Islami today hailed the Supreme Court decision to reinstate the election time caretaker government system, describing the ruling as a historic milestone in response to the path of free, fair election. The party issued its reaction at an emergency press conference at Jamaat Central Office at Mogbazar in the capital shortly after Appellate Division upheld the constitutional and the 13th Amendment and restored the caretaker government as well. Jamaat Assistant Secretary General Ihsanul Mahbub Zubair said the early judgment that abolished and the caretaker arrangement was controversial and politically motivated, and the abolition of the caretaker system enabled Sheikh Hasina to establish the authoritarian rule, he said. Zubair also noted that Jamaat former Amir Professor Ghulam Azam said laid the theoretical foundation for caretaker model. He said the party expected to interim government to act responsibly to ensure free, fair and participatory and neutral election. Distinguished Fellow of the Center of Policy Dialogue, Dr. Debapriya Bhattacharya, on Thursday asked the Government and Election Commission to take stronger and more transparent measures to restore public confidence ahead of the national election. He made the call while addressing a regional consultation meeting in Kollam, organized under the pre-election initiative of Nagarik Platform. People still fear and uncertainty in the mind. Without removing this concern, a participatory election is not possible. He said, if citizens don't regain trust, elections and cannot get democratic character. Transparency, integrity and open discussions are essential to rebuilding that trust. The country is becoming election-focused and elections are inevitable. But the question of what kind of election we will have remain in the minds of people, Dr. Debapriya added. He said the platform has started preparing a citizen manifesto to highlight the expectation and needs to marginalized and devastated people so that their voice are reflected in the election and pledges the political priorities. Viewers, we're taking a short break. Stay with us.
যেমন নিরাপদ তেমনি স্বাস্থ্যকর এসএ ফিড নিরাপদ ফিড স্বাস্থ্যকর প্রোটিন এসএ অ্যাগ্রো ফিডস লিমিটেড একটি এসএ গ্রুপ অফ কোম্পানিজের প্রতিষ্ঠান
Grand Palace 5-star chain hotel Zinda Bazar Silet local and international cuisines exclusive banquet hall for all events 5-star luxurious rooms and suites with bulletproof glass. Fiberglass swimming pool. Relaxing spa. Well-equipped gym. Experience panoramic beauty at SATV restaurant. Welcome to Grand Palace Hotel. Grand Palace Hotel and Resorts, Jollar Par, Zinda Bazar, Silet, Bangladesh.
বাংলাদেশে দীর্ঘ ৩৭ বছরের সাফল্যের অগ্রযাত্রায় এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন আধুনিক ও শৈল্পিক স্থাপত্য শিল্পের দেশ মালয়েশিয়ার কুয়ালালামপুরে। লাখো গ্রাহকদের প্রয়োজনের দিক লক্ষ্য রেখে নিশ্চিত বিশ্বস্ততা ও আন্তর্জাতিক মানের সেবা এখন ডোর টু ডোর। এসএ পরিবহন কুরিয়ার অ্যান্ড পার্সেল সার্ভিস SDN BHT 120 Jalan HS Lee 50050 কুয়ালালামপুর, মালয়েশিয়া। এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস আপনার সেবায় সবসময়।
Explore the magnificent view of Rangpur. 5-star facilities, rich chain hotel, Grand Palace. Relax in spacious rooms and suites.
Welcome back. You are watching SATV News. Now news from abroad. At least 25 Palestinians have been killed in 4 Israeli airstrikes on Wednesday, a part of Gaza under Hamas control since a shaky ceasefire took place effect in October, health authorities said. The Israeli military said its forces struck Hamas target across Gaza after members of the Palestinian militant group find in the troops of the violation of the nearly 6-week-old ceasefire. No Israeli forces were injured. Hamas condemned the Israeli strike as dangerous escalation and urged the United States to honor its stated commitment and exert immediate pressure on Israel to enforce the ceasefire and hold its attack. According to medics, 10 people were killed in Gaza City, suburb Zaytoun, 2 in the Shejaya stop to the east, and the rest in the two separate attacks in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza Strip. Israel's expulsion of tens of thousands of Palestinians from 3 West Bank refugee camps in early 2025 amounts of war, crimes and crimes against humanity, Human Rights Watch said on Thursday, calling for urgent international measures to hold Israeli officials accountable and stop further abuses. The right group said about 32,000 residents of Zenin, Tulkam and Nur Shams camp were forcibly displaced by Israeli forces during Operation Iron Wall in January and February as well. The displaced have been barred from their returning and hundreds of homes were demolished, said the group. 105-page report titled All My Dream Have Been Erased. 10th month after the displacement, none of the family residents have been able to go back to the homes, said the Melina Ansari, a researcher for Human Rights Watch, to work on the report, speaking to Reuters on Wednesday. The report described soldiers storming home, risking property and ordering family out of via loudspeaker, mounting a drum. It said residents reported the bulldozer razing building as they fled, and the Israeli forces offered no shelter or aid, leaving family to crowd into relatives' home and seek refuge in mosque, school and charities. The number of people have been killed in a Russian missile and drone attack on the western Ukrainian city of the Ternopil on Wednesday has risen to 25, including 3 children. The bombardment in the early hours on Wednesday morning targeted energy and transport infrastructure, forcing emergency power cuts in several regions of Ukraine amid the frigid temperature. It also struck to high-rise residential building in Ternopil, killing 25 people and injuring another 73, 15 of which are children. Officials said that more than 160 Russia at the scene holding high altitude. Specialists and fighting psychologists from the different regions of Ukraine. Meanwhile, Poland temporarily closed 2 airports and scrambled the country is fighter jet along those NATO ally in response to the attack. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky urges ally on Wednesday to increase pressure on Russia and its nearly 4-year-old war in Ukraine, including by providing Kiev with more air defense missiles. Foreign Minister Johan Wedpol welcomes any initiative that could lead to a ceasefire in Ukraine and subsequent pitch for the negotiation. However, this requires the involvement in the government in Kiev and also part of European as a whole. All negotiations about ceasefire, about any further peaceful development of Ukraine, can only be discussed and negotiated with Ukraine, and all Europe will have to be included. The word was said upon the arrival at a ministerial meeting in Brussels on Thursday, referring to the latest U.S. initiative. The first prerequisite, however, that it's Russia and its aggressive war. This is the only way forward, and this is the only way a reliable peace can be achieved, the Wedpol also added. Meanwhile, Hungary Foreign Minister Peter Szensztro on Thursday said the European Union should stop sending money to the Ukrainian government after corruption reports. There is a war mafia, a corrupt system working in Ukraine, and then European Commission President, instead of stopping the payment and demanding for immediate financial clearance, she wants to send another 100 billion to Ukraine to hold a journalist in Brussels before a meeting with his European Union counterpart. Speaking in Brussels, added the outlook is not positive for Ukraine at the moment. The Ukrainian minister enshrined in a major corruption probe were fined in Wednesday by Parliament, which has also called for more sweeping measures to restore faith in country's leadership.
There are a lot of talk.
U.S. President Donald Trump said on Wednesday he will meet New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani at the White House on Friday. What would be the first meeting of Republican leader with the Democratic Socialist who won the month's mayoral election? Mamdani and Trump have been critical on each other with Trump having backed Mamdani opponent Andrew Cuomo. The Mamdani, for this part, has been critical for the Trump administration policies. Mamdani told a reporter earlier this week that had been Trump reached out the White House to arrange a meeting. Meanwhile, Donald Trump signed the bill to release the file from the Justice Department investigation into the sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The material could shed more light on the activities of a span who specialized with Trump and other notable figures before 2008 conviction on the charge of soliciting a minor of prostitution. During a news conference, Attorney General Pam Bondi confirmed the Justice Department will release its STEM-related material within 30 days, as required by legislation passed by Republican-controlled House of Representatives and the Senate on Tuesday. The Justice Department will continue to follow the law and encourage maximum transparency, Bondi said. China on Thursday set a trilateral meeting of culture minister with Japan and South Korea scheduled for the month is impossible given the escalating diplomatic dispute with Tokyo over Taiwan. South Korea culture ministers said on Thursday that China had postponed the trilateral meeting. Tensions between China and Japan ignited after new Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takahashi said on Monday the Chinese attack on Taiwan threatening Japan's survival could trigger a military response. Response to a question about the postponement of the trilateral meeting, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson said that Takahashi comments hard in the feeling of the Chinese people and undermine the foundation and atmosphere for trilateral cooperation among China, Japan, and South Korea as well. Trade cooperation between China and Japan has been severely hit following the recent remark on Taiwan made by the Japanese Prime Minister. The Chinese Commerce Ministry said on Thursday, if Japan insists upon going down for the wrong path, China will take necessary measures. The Chinese Commerce Ministry spokesperson He Yang-gyun said on a regular news briefing in Beijing, China has shown its displeasure with the steps designed to inflict pain on the world's fourth largest economy far after Japan's Takahashi response, which officials said was unscripted to an opposition lawmaker query in a first parliamentary grilling. This ranged from the boycott on travel to hold is impaired for its seafood and the cancellation for the meeting and cultural events as well. Meanwhile, Tokyo Japanese Chief Cabinet Secretary Minoru Kihara told to reporter Japan would continue to urge China to facilitate export and strongly demand for lifting of import ban and seafood product and affected the prefectures. Meanwhile, Taiwan's Foreign Minister Lin Chia-lang on Thursday pledged support for Japan during its escalating diplomatic spat with China. Speaking to reporter on Thursday, Lin said Beijing used economic currency and military intimations for Bali order and countries' trade investment and tourism have all been weaponized. Against Taiwan, the tensions between the two countries ignited after new Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takahashi said this month that the Chinese attack on Taiwan threatening Japan's survival could trigger a military response. Retirees and social organizations marched from Argentina's Congress to Plaza de Mayo on Wednesday to protest against labor reform and what they called an imperialist pact between President Javier Milei, U.S. President Donald Trump, and the International Monetary Fund. The demonstration, led by left-wing parties union and the grassroots group, demanded the repeal of proposed charging labor tax and pension laws as well. During the protest, security forces deployed the barrier and federal police under the government anti-blockade protocol to prevent road closure, using measures taken during previous demonstration. The rally ended with a speech at the Plaza de Mayo urging General Stein to stop the government reform package, which cites the threatened worker a right for the defense and the foreign influence over the Argentina's economy. Two passengers train in the Czech Republic collided on Thursday, injuring at least 5 people seriously and 40 other lightly, officially and local media reported. Fire Rescue Service said the crash occurred in the region around 132 kilometers south of Prague. All passengers from both trains were evacuated, it said. A spokeswoman for the regional hospital told news agency CTK that 5 people had been admitted with serious injury. Transport Minister Martin Kubo said the crash was still under investigation, but parliamentary information showed one of the train likely passed a signal into the stop position. Indonesia's Semeru volcano erupted on Wednesday. The country's volcanology agency increased the alert level of Java Islands, the latest mountain to the highest. Indonesia, the volcanology agency said the resident should keep a 2.5 kilometers distance away due to risk Semeru more than 600 meter high in one of Indonesia's nearly 130 active volcanoes. Indonesia started passive ring fire, a highly systemic active balloon where the different parties on the earth crust meet and create a large number of earthquakes and volcanoes. Before ending, we go through the SATV news headlines again. Supreme Court revives caretaker government system. Caretaker government scrapping verdict was flawed, said Attorney General. Caretaker government system is the lifeblood of democracy, said Rul Kabir Rizvi. Devapriya Bhattacharya urges government and EC to take stronger measures to restore public confidence. You are up to date with the top stories so far here on SATV, and to know the latest news, visit www.satv.tv. Stay with SATV.